I feel like I've returned back to my other question about expressing anger with people. Like
Expressing anger,
obviously, how much satisfaction are you allowed to have with somebody? Say if they're a stranger who mistreats you.
How much satisfaction are you allowed to have if a stranger mistreats you? As much as you can take.
Or if you're ambushed by anybody, sort of. I mean, sort of. What can you do? I mean, it's assertiveness, isn't it? It's presumably once your emotions have become better, then you don't feel as badly affected by it.
You wouldn't feel as badly affected by it, and you would have a better sense of what a boundaried, appropriate response is. There's no point screaming and shouting at somebody unless you think that is going to motivate that person to go, oh, duh, they're not going to take this lying down, I better go and call someone and do something about it. Otherwise, there's no point. If you're doing it as a self-indulgence because you can't control yourself, that's not great. I would call that a neurotic response. If you're doing it as a piece of theatre to get a reaction, which we train this in self-protection. You know, if somebody comes at you, some people call it ballooning. It's basically you pretend to be really angry, actually inside you're frightened, and it's to feint, you bluff the other person who's attacking you into going away. Animals do this in the wild. That's why a cat raises its hackles. It's not because it's like, I'm going to eat you because it's tiny. It's like, if you fuck with me, I'm going to scratch you. That's all it's saying. That's all you can say, really, in context.
You would bluff anger? Pretend to be angry or not? Well,
you could pretend to be angry if you felt that was the appropriate response. So you're going to look at a situation, see if that's actually a boundary that's being transgressed for you, feel what you feel about that, look at it and go, am I in an emotional flashback? Is this reasonable? What's the appropriate response? And then take action.
So I remember you using the word almost, you said you have an almost sadistic attitude to this sometimes because, although perhaps not sadism, but you almost look forward to it occasionally or in some situations.
You look forward to people.
I remember seeing one of your videos.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously shame and guilt involved with somebody with CPTSD and that, my own experience, there's always guilt. Well, that would be too far. There's a feeling that I want to take revenge on them.
So there's an emotional flashback around guilt and shame there for wanting to stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
I'm presuming, I don't know, but that might be because you have parents who would guilt and shame you for standing up for yourself. And the effect of that long term is that you really struggle with self-assertion, and what's stopping you from asserting yourself is the emotional flashback of guilt and shame. Guilt and shame is probably the worst, the dirtiest emotional flashback you can go into because it's so debilitating. Does that help?
Yeah.
We've got time for one more.